Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new. My name is Jen. I am a homeschool mom to 6. Have been homeschooling for, we're gonna be starting our 9th year of homeschooling, which is like absolutely crazy. I currently have an 18-year-old who is just like graduating high school, and then I have all the way down to a kindergartner. I use the grades very like loosely, and then all the kids and ages in between. What a year it has been. So when I'm filming this, technically we still have like 2 weeks left of school, but for the most part we're done. And actually a lot of things we like have technically finished. Our days are nowhere near as packed and as full as they normally are. So I thought it would be fun because I don't actually think I've ever done this on my channel. Even when I was like sort of uploading more regularly, I used to do more day in the life type of videos here on this channel, and I would show just glimpses of our homeschool day and some of the curriculum we used. I'm pretty sure I've never sat and done like dedicated videos. So I thought it would be fun to go over each of my kids, each of the grades that they completed this year. I always find these videos interesting personally because I think it's like, obviously the buying the new curriculum videos are super fun, because if you are into all things curriculum, then I mean, enough said. But there's also something about, it's kind of like when you watch, you know, people who do like empties, like if you watch any of the like beauty videos or anything like that. Do you remember when those were like a thing? It was like my empties at the end of the month, where they'd show you like all the empty bottles and all the products that they had used. Then you were getting like a review on, you know, months worth of them testing out products. So I always find these extra interesting because at this point we've used the curriculum, and we have a pretty good idea of what worked, what didn't, how things went, if each individual child enjoyed the curriculum, what I thought of the curriculum. I have quite a few things here. I thought I would start with my youngest and work my way up. So my youngest is 5. Especially when they're first starting out, I kind of really gauge it on each of like per kid, meaning that I don't really go like super strong at the very start in homeschool in terms of seat work, you know, sitting at a desk, piles of workbooks, any kind of real schedule with them, or a certain amount of things that I want to hit every single day. It's all very loose because I find at the beginning, first of all, each child is different, and so you're gonna find that depending on their age and depending on just like their personality, some kids are very gung-ho about starting school in a more like traditional way, and they want to sit there and they want to do all the workbook things and all the learning. And some kids are not so much about that. They just want to go and play with their Legos and their dolls and whatever else, and that's just as much learning as seat work, and sometimes even more so valuable, I find. And I think also just being like more of a seasoned homeschooler slash mom, I've like realized that with each one of my kids, there really is no hurry, especially at the beginning. There's so many ways that they learn through play and just your everyday interactions with them. They're learning about the world around them all the time. The last thing I want to do is like force a form of schooling that takes away the joy of learning from them. That being said, so my daughter, she's 5. She'll be turning 6. She'll be turning 6 this year. So she will technically be going into grade 1 coming like this upcoming fall. She was very much wanting to do what everybody was doing. Now last year, like our last homeschool year, she also was, but for shorter amounts of time. She's always been involved in like our group morning time and that kind of stuff, our read alouds and everything. She's no different. That's kind of just been part of her day, is watching me homeschool everybody else. And so she's been very much motivated to be a part of the group and do all the things. This year especially though, just as her comprehension has flourished, and she's just really taken to wanting to be at her desk and do all the things, which I was like, okay, great. I do have quite an array of things that we used for her this year, and it might seem like a lot, and I just want to say right up front that I do have a lot of things, but we didn't do everything every single day. And that's kind of what I try to do. When we start to get a little bit more into, regimented is not the word, but a little bit more of a schedule with them, I really like to switch things up a lot so that it doesn't get boring. Well, for her, I can keep her attention longer if we are doing short stints of different things. So the books are changing, the activities are changing pretty often, and usually more times than not, we're done. And she's kind of like, is there anything else we can do? So it's working for us. Some of these books we 100% completed, some of them we didn't, and it's just kind of like whatever. First things first, we do a family devotion time. Well, we do morning time, morning basket, whatever you want to call it, with everybody. And I will probably do a dedicated video as to some of the resources that we've used for that. Part of that, we do Bible time, devotion time with everybody there. I do like the kids to have their own quiet time, their own Bible reading, their own devotion time that is sort of catered to their specific level as well. They also each have their own devotionals that they just do on their own. Now, obviously with her, I do it, you know, I do it with her. And this is the one that we've been using. We actually use this one as well with my other daughter, who's 9. She used this one as well. We've actually gone through it already once, and now we're about halfway. Well, actually we're about 3/4 of the way through it a second time, because she really enjoys it. By the time you've cycled through, it's not like you really like remember it. So anyway, it's called Our Daily Bread for Preschoolers, 90 Big Moments with God. I think I got this from Christian Book, but I'm pretty sure I've seen it on Amazon. It's just got 90 devotionals. Now, obviously it lasts us a little bit longer in the school year because we're just doing this Monday to Friday. What I like is that they're just short little devotionals. At the top, it'll tell you a Bible verse, where you find it in the Bible, and then it'll have like the corresponding devotional relating to the verse. And then usually there's a question, either about like what you just read, maybe something about the picture that is shown, a little question that they can answer, and then a little prayer that you say together. It's just really great. She loves it. My other daughter, she had loved it as well. We do this together every single morning, and like I said, we're going through it a second time, probably for this upcoming year. I will get her a new one, but we've really enjoyed this. And then another thing that she did every single morning as well is a journal. This is actually her second one that she's filled up. And even though, I mean, at this point she writes her name, and you know, she knows just a handful of words, how to write a handful of words. I'm usually the one who's filling it in, but I just want her to get, this is something I've done with all my kids. It's fun for them to kind of keep. It's almost like a keepsake. I don't know if it's more for them or for me. A lot of times, you know, they draw pictures or write paragraph or something that maybe went on the weekend, something they're looking forward to, any kind of special events and things like that. So when they're little, obviously, you know, it's so funny though. I love seeing what they do and looking back on all of the, it's just funny. It's just funny and cute and adorable, all the things. And then what I do is I write the date, and then I have her tell me what the picture is about. I ask her like, what sentence do you want me to write? That's what I will write in. So this one was a girl applying her makeup. She's funny because she's not so much about like drawing necessarily things that have gone on. She just likes to draw. Like she just wants to do whatever. Actually, I think this actually did happen. There's a good chance. This is mommy eating creme brulee. As they get older, of course, I have them fill in the date. It's great for them to practice the date and writing little sentences, little blurbs about whatever. Another thing that I have her and actually my second daughter doing, I said she's 9 years old, and so she is currently in she's finishing up grade 4. We do this thing called our morning binder. I know there's a bit of a glare. I usually just use one of these like pocket binders, and I just made this on, I think, PicMonkey or Canva. I pick whatever they're into at the time. So for her, it was Paw Patrol. I printed that that out. It just says Everly's Morning Binder with the date on it. And what this is, basically I fill it with concepts, some things that I want them to work on every single day, mostly every single day. We kind of go through this together. So what I do is I actually just made these sheets myself. So this is an example of one that she did. It's the days of the week and some shapes down here. And then I just have these little, it's just so she can like point. There's like little, I don't know, I know it's hard to see, but little circles underneath each one so she can just point to them. We started off with, you know, me just telling her them. She would repeat after me. Same thing with the shapes, she would repeat after me. Then because I put them in these little like sleeves, you can use dry erase marker on here, which is great. And the kids just like love, especially when they're little, they love all things dry erase marker. Sometimes I have her trace over the days of the week, like for spelling practice. And then same thing with the shapes. I'll have her, you know, draw over the shapes. And then we basically just progressively change how we do this time together. So again, at the very beginning, for a while, I would have her just repeat after me and I would point and she would point to everything. And then when I realized that she had mastered, like she knew all her days of the week, she knew all her shapes, then what I would do is I would point to one and see if she could tell me which one it was. Same thing with the shapes, and kind of quiz her that way. And then another one of the sheets is like similar. I just kind of slip it in the back and it's the months and then her numbers from 1 to 20. And it was basically the same thing. I kind of do the same thing with them, just gradually as they get more comfortable with it. They learn it all a little bit better. I just switch up how we do that time together. I quiz them. I'll just ask her numbers. She'll point to them, or I'll point to a number and ask her to tell me what the number is. Same thing with the months. Vowels was another one that we did. So her knowing her vowels, knowing the sounds that they make, practicing that, how many letters are in the alphabet, and then, you know, again, alphabet letters, I would have her go through them. We'd sing the ABC song together. I know, guys, I'm sorry. I know it's so glary, but hopefully you can see. I would quiz her on her letters to make sure she knew which ones were which. And then we would also do, I would ask her what sounds they make, or I would make the sound and have her pick the letter, and then also ask her to give me like a word that starts with that letter. So that was great practice. That was probably, it was just repetitive in different ways. And like I said, I would just change it as I saw her getting more comfortable with mastering that. And it just worked really great for her learning all of that. I'll just show you the bottom of it because I don't want you to see the information, but this one was what continent we live in, what country we live in, and then at the bottom I also have what province we live in and what city we live in. I would have her answer those, which she can also do. So yeah, that's it. It literally takes maybe 5 minutes, the morning time. And then I also used her morning binder to put in From the Good and the Beautiful from their course. There's like some little games that you can play with the kids, letter games for like sounds and things like that, uppercase, lowercase. So I just stuck them here in this sleeve. This is the elephant peanut game, and then I have two other letter games in the back. I keep them in here because even though we do use it with the course book, sometimes we just play them randomly because they are a good like refresher, and she enjoys, you know, the little kids always enjoy doing like anything in like a game form. So I keep that in there as well. And then every once in a while, I will show you, I have like some, I say random because they were kind of just supplemental books that I got, and I would just tear out some pages. I don't know, it's just a little bit of this and a little bit of that, practicing different types of things, colors, shapes, numbers, letters, just, you know, rhyming, just dot to dot, mazes, just all kinds of stuff. I would rip out a couple of those sheets and I would stick them at the front of her binder, and then when she would complete them, I would just shove them in at the back, just to switch up, you know, switch up her morning time. so it wouldn't be like exactly the same every single morning. But yeah, so we use this. Again, I use a version of this with my 4th grader as well. Obviously hers are different, but I find these are really great because you can put whatever you want in them. You can switch it up. You can have them focus on things that maybe you think they need to brush up on a little bit, or things that they just need to learn. It could be like math skills, sight words, whatever it is. And I just made all of these worksheets. Well, not worksheets, but I made all of these sheets myself, so it's pretty easy to do, but it was really effective. Okay, moving on, we have a collection of like pre-K, K, just all kinds of things, just based on what level I thought she was at, or just I wanted to make sure that she was well versed on something before I moved her to the next level. Of course, I say of course because it's been an of course in our homeschool from the very start, but the Explode the Code books, my kids love these. And in itself, they're not, I wouldn't say that they are substantial enough by themselves. They're just great add-ons, great supplemental, more just like to reinforce whatever they're learning in their like core language arts programs. The very first ones are actually called Get Ready for the Code. So she had Get Ready for the Code A and Get Ready for the Code B. She like zipped through these in no time because she would want to do multiple pages a day. As long as I felt like she wasn't, like as long as I felt like she knew what she was doing, then we would do that. But basically it's just done in a really fun way. They go through the letter sounds. Sometimes you have to color in the picture of in the row that corresponds with that letter. They practice writing the letter as well. And then to wrap up a certain section, there's always this one page that she really enjoys doing where you give them instructions based on the pictures on the next page. So you might say like, oh, I'm thinking of something that you ride on in the summer and it has 2 wheels, you know, and then they point to it and they have to tell you what it is. They have to tell you what sound it starts with, what the letter name is. Then it'll give them an instruction to do something. So put a box around it or put an X through it. So yeah, so A and B, I probably for next year, because there's a C as well. There's a C book before you go into the official first Explode the Code. I think it's just level 1. So I probably will start her off next year, just kind of start off the year with her doing book C, just almost like a refresher because it won't take her any time at all. And then we'll move on to the like first Explode the Code book. And then another one that we did, and this was actually a first for this curriculum itself, the handwriting without tears. We usually have done a reason for handwriting with my kids. Really like that curriculum. I still do like that curriculum. It's kind of one of those things where we just stuck with what we knew and what had worked. But I just thought, just because it's like the very first one, it's not a big deal if we want to switch it. She's never done it before. I thought I would just give it a shot, the handwriting without tears, and it was very successful. I think we still would have been okay with the reason for handwriting books as well, but I am glad that we tried this one out. I haven't decided if we're going to continue through or if we're going to switch back because I don't know, I kind of flip-flop back and forth. Especially, it's one thing if something doesn't work, but when something works or like multiple things have worked, then I'm just like, now what? We shall see. But we started her off with the Kickstart Kindergarten, and again, it was just a lot of, I mean, obviously you're going to notice, right, for her age, it's all about the letters and the numbers and the sounds that they make, because, you know, prepping them for reading. A lot of kind of just doing it over and over again. Luckily, again, she thrives on all of this. She loves it. She wants to be doing what everyone else is doing. So this may not work for everybody. Like, this may not work for your child. You kind of have to gauge it and see. But the other thing I want to stress as well, even though this is not what this video is about, is like, don't be afraid to, it's okay. Like if they just want to do, like for instance, eyes, right? And there's 2 lines of eyes here. They just want to do one line and they're like done. It's not a problem. Don't be afraid to kind of set up the curriculum the way it's going to work for your child. Don't assume that you have to complete this entire page. In fact, you don't even have to complete the entire book, but that's a whole other story. She would. A lot of times she wanted to do both pages, so that's just how it was. It's not really frilly. It's not a frilly book. It's pretty much just black and white. But the thing is that she has so many other things that she uses that have all the bells and whistles that it was kind of nice that this didn't have a lot of distraction in it, and it kind of just got to the point. Another thing that she also did every day, and this I just got off Amazon, it's just called Phonics for Kindergarten. home workbooks, Gold Star Edition. I don't know what that means. Oh, I guess because it has stars in it. We did a page of this every day. Sometimes we did 2 pages of this. This is a super colorful book. It will focus on the sound of a letter. You'll kind of work on a letter for a little bit at a time and just focus on that one letter and that one sound. They'll either be circling the picture that starts with that letter. They'll practice writing the letter in. There's just all kinds of activities that reinforce what sound and what letter they're learning. And then when you go to the back, there's this little sticker chart with stars on it. There was like a lot extra, but she did in fact finish it. And every single day they get to put, it has the page numbers underneath, and they get to put a sticker on what they've completed. So she did find that that was fun and very like rewarding for her, because it was like, as soon as she was done, she got the sticker on there. Just got it off Amazon. I mean, it was less than 10 bucks. I don't know, but it was really, really good. Pretty much everything else here, we kind of did every other day, or again, like we would do one thing one day and then maybe something another day, or every couple of days. Then I'm actually going to probably do another video talking about just like resources, other things, manipulatives that we used, just like add-ons that are not like workbooks, things that she used to supplement her year, supplement all her learning. This I couldn't pass up because, you know, Frozen. And again, you got to do what you got to do to entice them. Sounds like sinister, but you know what I mean. Like, you just do the things that, if this is what's going to make them want to come and learn, then great. This was from Costco. I highly recommend that you do not spend a lot, even though it looks like I've spent a lot, but most of these books I got off of Amazon. A couple I got from Costco. You don't need to necessarily get the fancy curriculums. I mean, you can, but I'm just saying, don't feel like you have to. Costco right here. This is reading, writing, and math. This is specific to Canadian curriculum because we are here in Canada. Of course, she loved this. The thing that's fun about this is sometimes there's like little stories and little things that you read about the different characters. It is what it says. There's some reading, some writing, and some math. They practice editing like little stories talking about like where you put periods and how you start sentences with capitals and things like that. And then they learned about opposites, so they have to like draw lines to the word that is the opposite. You know, Anna is loud, Elsa is quiet. She would love just sitting here and flipping through and looking at all the little pictures from the movie and the characters and all that kind of stuff. Then there was counting. It went into a little bit of math where she had to, you know, count the objects, write the number in. Sometimes she would have to add, you know, add some objects together as well, or subtract. Mark an X on the 3 books and how many books does Anna have left. So, and she wrote her little backwards 3, but I left it because it's cute, and we fixed it. We fixed it another time. We corrected that another time. About February, we introduced this, and this is, I got this off of Amazon. It's the Scissor Skills preschool activity book for kids. 50 pages of fun cutting practice. And that's what it is. They practice their cutting skills. Every page is just them practicing cutting different shapes and things like that. You know, kids, especially at this age, it's all about the cutting and the gluing. It's like, that's number one. Everything she would ask, do we have to cut this? Do we have to glue this? Like, we'd be doing like a math workbook, and she'd be like, is there anything to cut or glue? So she got this. So as you can see, she's done a ton of it. Each page is a different picture that they have to cut out. Now, actually, the ones that I'm showing you now, as the book goes on, it gets a little more challenging, the kinds of shapes and things that they have to cut out. And then there is sometimes you take the shapes and then you assemble them on another piece of paper, you glue them together. This is like one of the more basic ones that she did, which was just a little ice cream cone, and she colored it all in, and then there's like dotted lines around it, and she practices cutting around, and then she likes to write her name on the back. I'm gonna remind you all that we did not do all these things every single day. A lot of things were rotated through. I'm just showing you everything because I have quite an array of things here, and so hopefully maybe you can find something here that you think might work for your child. I guess I could have started with this, but we did pick up the pre-K course. Well, this is the course book, but we did the whole kit. We ordered the whole kit, the pre-K kit from The Good and the Beautiful. Now, I actually ordered this last year, so like our last school year, I ordered this. I don't, you know, try to force any kind of work on them this early on, especially, you know, then when she was like barely 4 years old. We did order this and we did it very sparingly last year. So we got through, I don't know, maybe a quarter of it, if even that, because I didn't want it to be too overwhelming. I wanted to make sure that she was grasping everything that we were doing. So we did it a little bit, but then I kind of just set it aside and I pulled it back out this year. And again, as much as I love it, and I think we're going to continue with, I haven't decided yet because I've been looking through the K course and I've been looking through the grade 1 course. Based on everything else that we've done this year, I think that she is like on sort of task to be doing the grade 1 level. Whether or not I'll have her do the K course first, I'm not sure. I may or may not do that. But what I found anyway is that this doesn't really last you. Like if you were to do this every single day, this doesn't last you an entire typical school year anyway. I don't know about the other, well, I do know about the other levels. My kids do some of the other Good and the Beautiful levels, like the higher up levels, and they are set up to do a lesson a day and they last you the whole year. I'm not sure how the K course works. Even though this is sort of meant though to be done every day, again, I did it the way I thought it would work for us and work for her. It's not that it's difficult, it's just that there's a lot more. There's a lot more reading. It's just a little bit more involved and it's a little bit longer. The lessons are not too long. They're still a good length, combining it with all the other things that we were doing. I just didn't want it to be too much. So we just did a lesson here and there. Literally, there was no schedule involved. It was when I felt that it seemed like a good day to open this up, we would do it. Did I enjoy it? I love all of the Good and the Beautiful curriculum that we've done. I have no complaints. I love all of their curriculum. I love how beautiful it is. I love their drawings. Everything about it, I just love. I didn't bring them up, but they incorporate these little flip books that you go through them usually at the start of every lesson and you work on certain letters. They have like 4 different flip books that focus on different letters of the alphabet, and you go through them with them and work on the sounds and recognizing uppercase and lowercase and all that kind of stuff. And then the games, like I showed you, those were just a couple of the games that they have here. You could technically just do this, just keeping in mind again that if you were doing just this, if you were doing this every day, you would be done this before, let me see how many lessons there are. There's 53 lessons. I guess you could, if you wanted to, you could just keep advancing and going to the next level if you wanted to. But I'm happy with the way that we did it, that we just kind of threw it in when she seemed like she was going to be focused and like in the mood to do it. These last 3 books are all from Amazon. It's just the preschool math workbook. That's all I can find. I don't really know what else. And it works on addition and subtraction, practice writing their numbers. And then they do little activities. So counting dice, how many stars would that equal? Count the flowers in each bush and then write the number underneath. I don't know if you can see, but like she's filled it in. It's just hard to see with the pencil. Knowing the difference between left and right, following directions, learning patterns, simple addition and simple subtraction. So again, this was like maybe $5 or $6 from Amazon. This was like a preschool math, but we also had this one, which was kindergarten math. And that's what I mean about how I'm like not really stuck on what it says in terms of like the age or the level. I like more just to see what is the book teaching, what's inside, and if it seems like it's going to be on level with what we're learning, if she's going to be able to, if it's like challenging enough that she's learning new things, but it's not going to be like going over her head. That's really all that I care about, really. My Modern Kid Press. Actually, I have this one, and then I also have this one, which is the Learn to Read from the same company. Some more simple subtraction and addition, and just like in different ways, you know. So sometimes they use dice, sometimes they use blocks, sometimes they use like shapes, balloons. These were fun too. She counted by 2s and she had to fill in the missing numbers. Here she had to figure out what 2 numbers, like what 2 different combinations of numbers would add up to 10. And like I said, we have the Learn to Read as well. This one was really neat because it focused on words, like it kind of went alphabetically, and you would focus on a word for a couple of pages. So for instance, you know, you start off at the beginning and it starts with the word So they're learning the word and they have to write it, and there would be a sentence where they'd have to fill in the space with that word. So this one is I have a unicorn. There's like this box, this grid box here with a bunch of different A words, and they have to color in the ones that are correct, like the ones that say usually a corresponding picture for them to color that has to do with the sentence. Then when you come to this side, they now have to come up with a sentence that uses the word I would have her give me a sentence that would help her spell it. I have a dog, and then they draw the picture. Each time we learned a new word, so like the next one would be all. I would start at the beginning and I would go through the ones that we had did prior. So, you know, by the time we're at the word can, I would go back to the beginning of the book and I would make sure that she remembered all the words that we had learned up until then. I thought this was really, like, I liked how it was set up and how there was like different ways for them to learn the word. So they would see the word, they would trace the word, then they would write it themselves, they'd fill it in a sentence, they'd color it in here, so they'd have to find it in the grid, then they'd like color the corresponding picture, they'd have to come up with their own sentence and then draw a picture. So lots of different ways to reinforce the word that they were learning. So great resource. So those were the majority of what we used for this homeschool year. Any combination of 5 of the ones that I showed you. And then aside from that, she would be doing like other things. And that's what I mean about things that are just not workbooks, because you can only do so many workbooks, right? These that I just wanted to show you really quick, I'm not really gonna go through them. These were just when I was talking about how I would pull some worksheets and put them in her morning binder that were just a little bit more, not really too challenging, to be honest with you, like just almost like a little more fun. This one is the Get Ready book thinking skills, level K, sorry, not level K, level P. Again, just, you know, just fun matching or finding the one that doesn't belong, things like that. We also have this Canadian Fundamentals PreK 200+ activities. This one I got from Costco. A lot of coloring and things and matching and stuff like that. The Comprehension Curriculum of Basic Skills, K, so basic skills, reading, math, time, money, and thinking skills. These are like the colorful ones, right? Like these are the colorful books. So dot to dots, mazes, and then this one here, also from Costco. This one has the price on it still, so $8.99. It's the Play Smart Ginormous, because it is ginormous, preschool workbook. Tracing, mazes, puzzles, pre-reading, pre-writing, early math. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, just fun. This is the kind of stuff the kids like doing. But yeah, so that's pretty much, I mean, that was enough, but that's pretty much the accumulation of things that we used for my 5-year-old. Again, I guess technically speaking, she's in kindergarten. She'll be going into grade 1. I feel very lucky in the sense that she has such a desire to learn. And I think, honestly, not that it's automatically going to be this way, because again, every single child is different. And even when you think you have it figured out, you don't. I have 6 kids, but it doesn't matter. But I'm just saying, even with 6, like, you think you have it figured out, but you don't. I do think to a certain extent, with each child that's come along, when they are, like, this is the environment that they grow up in and they see their brothers and sisters doing this, I think that just compels them a little bit more to want to do the same thing. We're lucky enough to have a schoolroom. We haven't always had a schoolroom, and you don't need a schoolroom, but we do happen to have a schoolroom. So we have desks for everybody. So, you know, everybody knows that when we go in there, that's what we're doing. And so she would see everybody doing that, and that was part of the routine, you know, during the week, and she just wanted to get in on that. And so even though I didn't push it and I didn't force it, I definitely took that desire she had and I ran with it as much as possible. Tried to make it fun, tried to keep her interesting. And you know what, guys, honestly, there were days, I'm saying all this, but it's not like there was not days where she just was not into it. And it wasn't a big deal. Like, it really wasn't, because we had such a successful year. When I look back and I think of how much she learned, how much she's grown, how many things that she has grasped and just totally taken off with from the start of the year till now, she has done all the learning. And again, they learn in so many ways. It's definitely not just the workbooks. I kind of want to just put that out there, because I know sometimes, number one, when we have little ones, sometimes we feel like, oh, I have to start them off in the right track, or they're like, somehow they're going to get off track when they're like 16 or whatever. It's like just calm down. You know what I mean? I say that in the nicest way, but it's kind of like the thing where, you know, you realize the older you get that like, it doesn't matter when your child started walking. It didn't really matter when they said their first word. At the end of it all, usually it all kind of evens out with kids, you know, for the most part. At the very start, 4 or 5 years old, I just wouldn't even worry about it, to be honest with you. And the other thing too is like you realize, or I've realized, you know, just how quickly, I know it's so cliche, but how quickly time flies. And because I have such a broad spectrum of like age ranges, you know, like I said, I have an 18-year-old and a 5-year-old. It just happens so quickly. And so I really relish in that time that they have when they're little and they're just playing, and that's fine by me. I'm good with that. So some days I would just let her play. And if she didn't ask, or if I found that she was being a little bit not interested, because there's really no point in even doing it with them, doing school with them, if they're not interested, because it's not going to be like, it's not going to sink in. They're not going to be retaining any of it because they don't care. Just let them learn in other ways, because they are learning all the time. They're sponges and they soak everything up. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Come back soon for some more, and I'll see you in the next one.